Welcome to Vlogmas Day 23. Today's video is going to be a bit of a throwback. I decided that I would look back on my 2021 makeup favorites and see what my thoughts are on those products a year later. Sort of like a haul in retrospect, except this is a favorites video in retrospect. Tomorrow's video will be my 2022 makeup favorites, so you guys can see my current loves and favorites. But today I have a basket of makeup that I decided was my favorite last year, and as I was collecting the items I had some mixed feelings. So if you guys enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much when you guys like and comment on my videos, so I appreciate when you take the time to do that. And without any other rambling, let's go ahead and get started. To start things off, we have my favorite primer of 2021. I will have these products linked down below in the description box in case you're interested in checking them out. These are products that either came out in 2021 or I just like fell in love with in the year 2021. How many times can I say that? Oh my gosh. So my favorite primer of last year was the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Face Cream. This is a fantastic primer. It is very moisturizing. It has hyaluronic acid in it. I would compare it to the Juno & Co. Moonshine Miracle Cream, except this has SPF 30 in it, which is fantastic. I think this is great as a moisturizer, as primer. I don't know that I would say it's my favorite primer. It's definitely not my favorite primer anymore, but it still is one of my favorites, and I still would absolutely recommend it if you are looking for something nice and hydrating. I feel like this aged pretty well. We'll see how the other products did, but I think this one aged pretty well. For foundation, my favorite foundation of 2021 is no surprise, the Sephora Best Skin Ever foundation. This is still one of my favorites. I think I found one that I like even more now, which I'll talk about tomorrow, but I love this foundation still. It's a medium natural coverage foundation. I wear the shade 17.5N and I think it's great. It's also only $20, and Sephora collection has sales sometimes where you can get them up to 30% off, especially during like the VIB spring and fall time VIB sales. So definitely check out Sephora collection. They have some really good products, like really good hidden gems, I feel. So again, although this isn't my top foundation of 2022, I still absolutely love it, and it's probably second place for me. For concealer, I talked about two concealers last year. The first one is a CoverGirl concealer. It has like black and white stripes on the cap. I actually don't have it anymore because I used it up, and from what I remember, I absolutely loved that concealer. I'm sure it's still great, and I'm sure my thoughts would be the same, but I never repurchased it. So maybe I need to do that. I don't know. Maybe in a little while once I go through some of the ones that I have, because I have a lot of concealer right now. But the other concealer that I talked about was the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This has been, I feel like, very highly talked about on the internet for years and years and years, like since like the OG makeup days. The creamy concealer, radiant creamy concealer from NARS. I have it in the shade Vanilla. That's my favorite shade. I still love this. It's very nice and natural, very radiant. Not your most like full coverage matte hardcore concealer, but definitely very nice for everyday use, so I would still absolutely recommend that. It is fantastic. For powder, I talked about two powders. The first one was a pressed powder that I actually just decluttered because it was just really old and basically used up. It was from Rimmel. It's the Stay Matte powder, I want to say. It's just like a pressed powder. It's really affordable. I really enjoyed it. I know it's kind of like hit or miss for people, but I used it for a very long time, even into this year. I definitely need to repurchase a new one once I use up some of my current powders, but I still love it and would recommend it, and you can't really beat the price. The other powder that I talked about last year was the Laura Mercier Translucently Setting Powder. This has been a favorite of mine for a long time, but it's actually not a favorite of mine anymore. I still love this, don't get me wrong. Still love it, still would recommend it, but I have found other powders that are definitely above this one for me right now in my current makeup preferences. I think I liked this a little bit more when I was like full glam, full coverage, like completely matte skin. I've been enjoying a little bit more of a natural finish recently, and I still think that this works great and it's a great product, but this is not going to be a favorite of mine for 2022. So that one was kind of interesting. Like, I don't feel the favorite vibes from this anymore, even though I still think it's great and it's like something you can't go wrong with. I mentioned 2 bronzers last year, the first one being from Milani. This is the Baked Bronzer in the shade Dulce. This is definitely a fantastic product. I still love this so much. And the other bronzer that I mentioned is actually from Hourglass. This is the Luminous Bronze Light, another baked bronzer. They're pretty similar as far as texture goes, like the actual texture of the product, and like they're both baked bronzers. The colors are very different. The Milani one is definitely more of like a yellowy undertone, whereas this is very neutral. I still love both of these. I don't know what I'm gonna pick. I haven't sat down and picked out my 2022 favorites yet, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna pick for bronzer, but I could very well see either of these being in that video. These are still top bronzers for me and I would absolutely recommend them. For blush, we have the Laura Los Angeles Blush Aesthetic Palette. I love this blush palette. I think it's fantastic. I love the variety, love the formula, love the packaging. I love everything about this. This is still a top product for me. If you're looking for a nice blush palette, look no further. Very affordable, and I have absolutely zero complaints about this blush palette. So definitely check this out. This is still a favorite of mine. For highlighter, we have 1 from Glamlite and 2 from Ofra. The first one is the Michaela and Glamlite collab highlighter. This highlighter is absolutely beautiful. I feel like I kind of like didn't use it quite as much this year just because I was just trying to get use of other highlighters in my collection, but this is amazing. If you're looking for a blinding highlighter, this one is fantastic. I love the undertone. It's very bright. It kind of reminds me of Cookie from Benefit. Very, very metallic and shiny and highlighty, but if that's what you're looking for, then this is a great option. I feel like this might even be like a dupe for Cookie from Benefit. It's so beautiful. And then I talked about 2 Ofra highlighters. You guys can actually use code PAIGE for 20% off of Ofra products, by the way. So we have Star Island and Milk and Cookies. Star Island is a beautiful highlighter. It has a bit of like a beigey undertone, a little bit of like, I don't want to say yellow because it's not like bright yellow, but it just has like a nice light beigey undertone, and these highlighters are so intense from Ofra. I'll swatch it next to the Michaela highlighter. You can see basically equally as intense, just different undertones. The Michaela has a bit more of a pinky undertone and Star Island has a bit more of like a yellowy champagne undertone. And then we have Milk and Cookies, which this one is so good. This is a split pan, so I'll swatch them separately and then I'll swatch them together. So there's a lighter side and a slightly deeper side. Again, these are absolutely stunning. I feel like this has more of like a bronzy undertone. So we have the lighter side, the darker side, and then a mix of the two. All so shiny and beautiful, and if you are a highlighter lover, you need these highlighters. I think that they are absolutely fantastic, and these have definitely stood the test of time. I don't think I talked about brow products in my favorites video because I didn't grab any, so I guess I didn't talk about any brow products. I'll definitely grab some brow products for tomorrow, but I guess we'll go ahead and do eyeshadow palettes. So I actually have 4 eyeshadow palettes to talk about. I think the first one I said was honorable mention because I talked about this as a favorite of mine for 2020, and that is the Nudie No. 2 palette from Laura Los Angeles. I love this palette. It's still one of my favorites. It's so freaking good. I think it's so cute. It's just like the perfect little collection of shadows. The metallic formula in this palette is insane. You guys need this palette. It's so, so good. It makes me so happy, and I just think that Laura did a fantastic job on this palette, so definitely still a favorite of mine. The next one is Nude Mood from ColourPop. This one is also absolutely fantastic. Very gorgeous everyday palette. I would say it's neutral with a touch of warmth. Like, it's definitely more warm tone than it is cool tone, but very neutral. Love the variety of mattes and shimmers. I just love this palette, and I love that it is affordable. So this is one of my favorite ColourPop palettes, and I would definitely recommend it. Next, we have the Natasha Denona Retro palette. I still absolutely love this palette. I think it is so gorgeous. I love the mauve undertones. I love that there's some warmth to it, but also some cooler tones. Everything about this is perfect, and I'm dying to get my hands on the Retro Glam palette because I love the retro and I love the glam palette, and the Retro Glam just looks so beautiful. But I think that this is a fantastic palette, and I still would recommend it. I love Natasha Denona's $65 size, the midi palettes. They are great. The bronze, the glam, retro glam, Zendo, they're all so good. And the last eyeshadow palette that I talked about is the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. I'm pretty sure this was their large palette launch last year. I still absolutely love this palette. I think the packaging is beautiful. The color story is beautiful. I love pinky toned eyeshadow, and you have all of like the pinky purpley shades in here, as well as some like more basic neutrals. I just think the variety of textures in here is great, the mattes, the shimmers, and I think it's a fantastic palette. And this is definitely still a top palette for me, and I definitely have gotten some really good use out of this over the last year. For mascara, I talked about the Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes mascara. I love this stuff. I have the bottle right now. I've actually gone through probably like 4 or 5 of these at this point. I think it's fantastic. The wand is a rubber wand, but it has sort of like a diamond shape to it. So you can see here. Hopefully you can see. I can't tell if the camera is focused or not, but it has sort of like a diamond shape to it that way. And then this way it's just like flat and skinny. So I think this is great if you like rubber wands. This is a really good one. And then we have Benefit Roller Lash. This one's actually not open, so I'm not going to open it because I have like 6 open mascaras right now. But I absolutely love this mascara. Still a top mascara for me. And once I go through a few of the ones that I currently have open, this is next in line to be opened. I love this stuff. It's so good. Honestly, I think I like this one more than the Charlotte Tilbury one, which I think they're both great, but this one is just so good. And then we have lip products. The first one is from Huda Beauty. This is the Lovestone Lip Balm. It's like a crystal lip balm, but it's basically a lip gloss, and it smells like cinnamon. It smells so good, and the shade is Lovestone. There are different shades, but I love this one. It's so good. It's like sparkly, and I just love the cinnamon scent to it. I think it's really fun and different. So this one is fantastic. And then we have my MAC lipsticks. So these have been my go-to lipsticks for I don't even know how long now. I'm wearing Honey Love right now from MAC. That's the more peachy one. This one, if I'm like looking for anything slightly peachy, this is what I'm going for. It's so beautiful. It's definitely still like a pinky peach, beigey type nude. I love it so much. Literally, I'm obsessed with it. It is a matte finish lipstick, and it smells so good. And then we have Blankety, which this is my top lipstick, like my favorite lipstick ever. Still my absolute favorite lipstick. This one is similar in like depth, but it's much more pinky. So we have Honey Love on the top and Blankety on the bottom. This one is a amplified cream finish, but it's so good. It's so good. If I'm like blindly picking a lipstick, I'm picking Blankety from MAC. It's fantastic, but honestly, this is like all that I need. I have my pinky lip and my peachy lip, and I'm good to go. So these, you will see these in tomorrow's video because I love them so much. I will say most of the other products are going to be different, but this one right here, these two, they will be in tomorrow's video. I feel like overall, everything stood the test of time. I didn't declutter anything because I didn't like it. I ran out of the concealer, the CoverGirl concealer, and I technically decluttered the Rimmel powder, but it was basically empty and not usable anymore. So again, I didn't declutter it because I wanted it out of my collection. I decluttered it because I've used it up essentially. So everything else is still here, so I feel like that's pretty impressive, and I still use pretty much all of these products on the daily. I feel like The one that I feel the least like favorite vibes towards is this powder, actually, the Laura Mercier one, which surprises me because I used to like ride or die by this stuff. So I'm so excited to pick out my products for my 2022 makeup favorites video. I know it's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna like search through my makeup collection and find those products. But again, all of these products will be linked down below in the description box for you guys if you are interested in checking any of them out. I still would highly recommend all of the ones that I talked about today, and I can't wait to talk about more makeup tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow in Vlogmas Day 24, Christmas Eve.